One of the greatest nisim in Jewish tradition that happened back to Avram Avinu is not mentioned in the Torah. And that is Ur Kasdim, the furnace where Nimrod challenged Avram Avinu. It was actually Terach that brought him to him. He said he would burn him alive if he doesn't renounce his emunah in Hashem. Avram Avinu was thrown into the fiery furnace and he came out unscathed. So Ibn Ezra says, how could that be true? How can a miracle like that have happened without the Torah mentioned it? Ibn Ezra questions whether or not it really happened because the Torah should have mentioned it. Ramban vehemently disagrees with him. And he refers us to a Ramban later when Moshe Rabbeinu was born. And there Ramban points out that Moshe Rabbeinu's mother was very old, older than Sarah was when Avram was born. Yet the Torah doesn't say a word about it. If you just do your arithmetic, she was the daughter of Levi. She was Bas Levi, literally the daughter of Levi, granddaughter of Yaakov Avinu. And she was the mother of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's a long time. Says Ramban, there are miracles and there are miracles. There are miracles that Hashem does because He does them. Because we need them. Because someone deserved them. But there's another kind of miracle. And that's a miracle where Hashem let us know by way of the Nevi'im, the prophets, that it's going to happen. That's a different level of miracle. That's a miracle where Hashem is saying, I want everyone to recognize this as a miracle. You can always find some kind of natural explanation for abnormal occurrences. But not if Hashem said it was going to happen. The birth of Avram Avinu was pre-told by the angels. That's a miracle the Torah records. The plagues in Egypt were engraved on the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu. Every one of them. The Torah records them. He said it was going to happen. It was there from the beginning. In the Haggadah Shel Pesach, we say, Bes ha'osos, the signs. What is that? Zehamate, that's referring to Moshe Rabbeinu's staff. What makes it an os? What makes this a sign that it was from heaven? The fact that it was pre-announced. I think if we'd be able to take things in perspective, this gathering tonight would be so unnecessary. We would be singing and dancing and going out of our minds for what we experienced. There are natural explanations for everything. Well, listen, it was planned for 20 years. Let's begin. The return to Eretz Yisrael of the Jewish people. If you just think of it in a vacuum, you grew up, we were all here already. If you just think of it in a vacuum, A people after 2,000 years comes home. So you're going to tell me, yeah, it's because it said so, so we follow the script. The ones that brought us here didn't believe in the script. The ones that brought us here would be satisfied with Uganda. That was the plan. They didn't know what they were doing. Hashem brought us here. It was pre-told. We were told we're going to come back. We came back. Okay, that's ancient history. So here we are, surrounded by enemies, hated by all of humanity. A thriving society, a revival of Torah, a rebuilding of all the Torah institutions that existed before the Holocaust. Every shtetl's got another yeshiva named after it in Israel. Every Hasidus has been revived. There was a little shtetl there, and here it's big. There are probably more Jews studying Torah today than at any other point since the Second Temple era. And we've seen miracles time and again, the different wars. But then there's the land itself. Yes, Israel developed desert irrigation. It said so. It said the land was going to be barren once we left. And it's going to go green when we return, and that's what happened. It's beautiful again. It said so. And here again, the people doing the planting are not such believers. It was the Jewish National Fund that made this country green. We're in the process of turning them around. But they didn't come from fulfilling prophecies. But our most recent episode, I don't know, the more you think about it, had Donald Trump been re-elected for a second term, he would not have been president today. You know that. He lost the election so that he'd be available for us now. Because no, what should I say, run-of-the-mill president would have done what he did. Okay? October 7th was atrocious. We're all post-trauma from it. Certainly the survivors. It was so traumatic. And we don't know why it had to be that way. But what has developed since was a destruction of so much of the infrastructure of Hamas, the destruction of Hezbollah. Assad was disposed of, and there's a friendly government in Syria. And then Iran, who's responsible for it all, untouchable. And the Gemara tells us that Persia is going to make it till the days of Mashiach. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah. And then the Gemara in Yuma tells us Persia will fall in the hands of Rome. This Golus is called Golus Edom. The entire Golus is named Edom, the Roman Empire, and all of its spiritual descendants. And today we believe that's the West. And wait, the Navi tells us something about Yemen. A lot's going to be going on there in Taman. We mentioned the pasuk in Rosh Hashanah in our davening. Interesting that Yemen's going to be a player before the coming of Mashiach. "12 days of war. 12 days of constant bombardment of Iran with no resistance. People say it was well planned, 20 years in the planning. Talk to the planners. Ask them. Talk to the people in the Air Force. There's wear and tear. How many times can a plane go, fly, drop bombs, go back and forth before you develop engine trouble? Not a single plane failed. Not a single pilot was lost. And they took a calculated risk. I've lost track of time. Was it 2 Thursdays ago or 3 Thursdays ago? I was summoned to a meeting of Rabbanei Ashchunot, the Rabbanim of the neighborhoods, with the head of Pikud HaOref. Is that in English? The Home Front Command. And an army base on Mount Scopus, and the mayor. And they sort of told us and didn't tell us. And they said, listen, things are going to get worse, but this is only going to last a couple of days. We're expecting heavy bombardment of the population of Israel in the cities. It may begin on Shabbos. We need the Rabbanim to tell everybody to carry their phones with them on Shabbos so that they'll hear the warnings. And make sure your congregants run to the shelters, even if it's in the middle of Shemona Esrei. On the way out, we were talking to one another, and the consensus was, the message for us is, we better daven, something's happening. So the U.S. bombed the nuclear reactors. And the rockets came. There were tragedies. And every Jew means something. And even the fact that half of them weren't even Jewish, it doesn't console us all that much. Perhaps it says that God favors the Jews. We don't rejoice at loss of life. But they were preparing for deaths, injuries. The hospitals were on alert. All the hospitals were on alert to receive thousands. There was discussion of how are we going to bury so many people. The most conservative estimate was there will be 600 dead if we manage to shoot down enough of their missiles. And those ballistic missiles are something. You know, the few places that got hit, they didn't just, they destroyed whole city blocks. Craters in the ground. We witnessed miracles. And as said, we were part of it. I guess if a prophet would have stood up and told us a day before what was going to happen, maybe then it would have sunk in that we experienced miracles. Iron Dome is not an automatic system. The decisions are all made by human beings. Iron Dome alerts. Then they have to decide when, what, and where is going to be shot. There was lots of room for human error. We lived through miracles. If anything, the fact that we're not going out of our minds for this is because we're so used to miracles living here. We are malumad benisim, as Chazal called it. But it can't be, we can't take it for granted. Chizkiyahu HaMelech, we are told, could have been Mashiach. Why didn't he become Mashiach? Chizkiyahu HaMelech, in his day, he got every man, woman, and child in the entire country to know all of Torah Shebal Peh, to know all the halachas. Everyone was versed in the laws of ritual purity. Seder Taras is difficult. They all knew it. Every man, woman, and child. They did a survey from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south. Everyone knew it. He was going to be Mashiach. We were attacked. Miraculously, the Jewish nation was saved. He made one mistake. He didn't say Shira, it says. He didn't compose a song thanking Hashem. He lost the right to be Mashiach. What is Shira? The Kuzari writes that words can only express so much. Shira, both as poetry as well as song, can express what the heart wants to say, but our vocabulary just doesn't have the words to contain it. We can talk, we can say God is great, we can say Hashem loves us. That doesn't quite do it. We can tell of the miracles, but it doesn't quite do it. In this week's parasha, the Jewish nation experienced another miracle, and they saw that as a springboard for expressing their thanks for all the miracles surrounding the well, the be'er, that accompanied them in the desert. And they sang, Az Yashir Yisrael, another Shira. We're not holding a place where we know how to compose these songs. But David HaMelech wrote so many. He gave us the whole book of Tehillim. And for every situation you're ever in, there's a parak or a pasuk in Tehillim that can give you the opportunity to sing. Not everything here is from Tehillim. There's a lot. We have so much to be thankful for. Let's not be guilty of just taking everything for granted. We have so much to be thankful for. We've experienced so much that our ancestors never did. It's been 2,000 years of suffering and misery, of fulfilling mitzvahs and serving Hashem with Mesiras Nefesh. The Jewish nation has suffered in a way that no other nation ever did. Perhaps culminating in the Holocaust, the destruction of European Jewry. 1,000 years of Jews in Europe just totally destroyed. And now, we're living miracles. We're home. We're living miracles. Our ancestors must be looking down at us and saying, and you just go about your daily life? Do you know what you're experiencing? Do you know the Jewish nation has been waiting for 2,000 years for this? Sing. Let your heart sing. Let your neshamas express themselves. Sing. Tov la'odes l'Hashem. It's good. It feels so good to be able to express it. To allow your neshama to express itself. It feels so good. Sing. So sing tonight and keep singing. And learn to sing your psukei de zimra to Hashem in davening. Learn to sing to Hashem at any occasion you can. Sing, be thankful. Walk around with that feeling of song. Hashem, it's happening. It's happening. Thank you for giving us the ability to be part of this. And then He'll give us more to sing about. And then the day will come, hopefully quite soon, where we'll all be singing together the Geula Shalema with all of our brethren here in Eretz Yisrael.
Amen.